everyone, and welcome to this playthrough of Victoria 2. My name is Kuluda, and with me I have...
Double V.
Double V, indeed. We're going to be playing some sort of cooperative playthrough. I'm going to be playing as Prussia, and Double V is going to be playing Sweden.
Yes. And why are we playing these two nations?
Very good question indeed. We've been playing this game quite a lot before, but it's been a while since we played last time. So we kind of new to the game in an old kind of way. So Prussia and Sweden seem pretty good cooperative nations. They're fairly close, but we don't have conflicting zones of interest or spheres of interest. So we can help each other, we can interact a lot, and we still have a fairly big challenge since we're forgotten most of the game.
Yeah, I mean, just now that when you mentioned spheres of influence, I just remember that I have virtually no memory of like that, and that's a pretty big part of the political game in this game, and I don't really remember how that thing works. I'm sure I'll get the hang of it very quickly and remember, but it's still like, oh damn, that existed. I forgot about that.
Yes, true. I forgot most of it too, and I forgot that it is a whole sort of sphere of influence game here as Prussia trying to claim all the other small nations, and there's like 15 million of them here.
Oh yeah, because as always in the Paradox games, pretty much, except Hearts of Iron, I suppose, Germany is very divided, but here it's not as bad as obviously in Europa Universalis 4 or 3 for that matter.
No, here's divided into two major nations, and it's Prussia with its kind of spherelings, Hanover, of course, starts as being a satellite of United Kingdom, but with the coronation of Victoria too, which seems pretty weird to say, it will be free, so I can sphere it then. But all the others are under my sphere, except for the southern ones, who are under the southern Germans, Austria and Bavaria primarily, and things like Saxony and Württemberg, or I don't even know how to pronounce it.
It's going to be interesting to see what we can do here, because it is a pretty complicated political game, and you have to be very quick with certain things as Prussia in terms of I'm sure we'll get into that once we get into the game, so let's not derail this by going all German, describing the technical difficulties of forming Germany, because that really is a chapter of its own, I think.
Yeah, and you have your challenge in Denmark and primarily Russia.
I mean, Sweden during this period is kind of it's very different to play from for example in Europa Universalis. Again, we're going to be making a lot of comparisons to that just off the board here, but you have this, I mean, Russia was big in the last game, so to say, or
they were prone to become big. Like they had a 90% chance that Moscow would form Russia and become a big nation.
I like how I say last game sort of instinctively, because Victoria 2 was published before Europa Universalis 4. So, but I mean, of course, timeline wise of the world history, it's a much more locked position like that. But I guess I'm going to try to, subordinate Denmark as usual.
Yeah, you'll try to become a great power and then sphere them and then try to form Scandinavia, I believe.
Yeah, and I think what makes the Prussia-Sweden cooperation interesting is the whole... Okay, so we have a very big neighbor. We are one of the two primary neighbors, western neighbors of Russia, I guess, along with Austria, but we're not going to be siding with them probably. But yeah, and then we have also a cooperative, we have quite, it's weird because we have quite similar borders. Obviously a slight conflict in our sphere of influence, because Prussia and Sweden, obviously Prussia is a lot better of a nation at this point, because you also have that western grey corridor of yours, but it's still, geographically and everything, it's pretty much, similar. But let's actually look at the rankings a bit to left of the map screen here, because I think that's quite interesting, starting off or so, just to point out the I mean, the difficulty of this game is very fluent, so to say, but the starting positions, obviously, of the countries is probably the best indicator of, how difficult it's going to be. So we have you at...
I'm at 5th place currently.
We should probably clarify there's like, is there a general thing, or is it... There's prestige?
I think it's going by prestige, but at this point, prestige and general rank is more or less the same, I think, because at the starting point, prestige is the most important, because you don't get much industrial score, you don't have much military score, so prestige right now at the starting point will determine mostly the starting rank of the country.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of... Oh, and we should also mention that is it the top 8 nations who are considered great powers, and they get special kind of like...
Yeah,
they are the main nations.
The top 8 becomes the great powers, and the top 8 beyond that, so rank 9 to 16, are secondary powers.
Yeah, we'll probably get into that and how that works with sphere influence and stuff. But so just so we're clear, Prussia's 5 there, and Sweden is number 9. So I'm just outside of the great powers, and I would say that Sweden is on the decline from the start. So you really have to. In the start, you have to turn the trend, kind of.
Yeah, you do have the ability to get to great power for a while, and that's kind of that window you want to use to get Denmark and then form Scandinavia as quick as possible. Because then Netherlands and perhaps Belgium, and I've seen Bavaria sometimes become into great power. And of course, if the 2 Sicilies or Sardinia Piedmont forms Italy, then you have a strong contender there, because the other 7 powers, Spain and Ottoman Empire, are the ones who are on the rapid decline. They're gonna fall out of great power status. But unless I beat up Austria, beyond that, it won't change that much. The United States will always be there. The United Kingdom will always be there. France will always be there. Russia.
Or will they?
Russia might fall off if we defeat them heavily in a war and they get consumed by rebellions and stuff. But
yeah.
Beyond that,
and their general rank isn't it something like if their military, or no, hang on, the prestige, if you lose a war like terribly, their prestige will drop terribly, so they will drop outside eventually, but it's obviously going to take a lot.
Oh, I found a way to determine the rank. So Great Britain is of course number 1, Russia is number 2 at the moment, France is number 3, I am number 4, and Austria is number 5. You can see number 6. You can see the rank by the flag if you select it. It will say next to the flag number, and that will say that Sweden is indeed number 9, Ottoman is number 5. Oh, number 5, that's impressive.
Oh, yeah, it's surprisingly good for them.
Yeah, but anyway, I just want to point out that, yes, a great player will do great things with Prussia in no time. I'm not a great player, so don't expect any miracles from me. And also, we're playing the unmodded vanilla 3.0 free Heart of Darkness. So, no new nations mod, no GSG, Wiki mod, no mods at all. So,
is there anything else we should mention before starting?
I don't think there's anything of vital importance.
I'd just like to make a little bit of comparison here. I noticed that my military rank was 18, so I decided to check out, like, okay, so who do I have around me, so to say, in the military race. Afghanistan is above me in military tech.
Punjab is also is ranked 16. That's pretty.
I would like to say, I do find it interesting that the USA is placed 21, which is interesting. But I guess it's all due to that they weren't that organized at this point. I mean, they don't even have Texas, for God's sake.
Yeah, it's before the whole Mexican War and before. It's only. I guess 20 years since the War of 1814. I think it's the War of 1812. Or is it 1812? I can't remember. Some war between Britain and the United States. I'm not American. I don't know American history. Anyway,
you're not British.
I'm not British either. So let's start play the game and adapt history and everything.
I always fear that I've accidentally selected some other country when you press play.
I should have checked that before.
Yeah, because I tend to click around a lot and just randomly like, I clicked on 2 Sicilies, and then all of a sudden it's like, what?
Me too. And I have Saxe-Meiningen and Anhalt. I'm gonna really mess up all the names of countries here.
Oh man, it's been so long since we played this, so I don't really know. Oh, it's very different from. I mean, we should say that we've been playing. Like I said, we have played Victoria 2 quite a lot in the past, but we've taken like a break for quite a while and played Europa Universalis.
Oh yeah, it's been a long time since we played this.
It's probably been a few months since we played this at least. Probably like almost 6 months now.
If not even more than that.
Yeah, maybe even more. So just, we're going to be a bit confused, even more so by that we played Europa Universalis 4 recently, which is similar but very different in a, I mean, for example, we have the whole politics section. I mean, it really is a completely different game in a lot of senses. They might look the same, but also the military. We discussed a bit before playing this how we've been playing EU4, where you have like usually one army or like two armies or something like. But you don't get the same frontiers as you do in this game with like really massive, like hundreds of thousands of units.
Yeah, in EU4 you can lose a war. Even as a big nation, you can lose a war in the first battle. But here, the wars can drag on for ages, and you can have these massive conflicts that spans continents and everything, and huge campaigns and everything. I like it.
It's a lot more. Would you agree that it's more linked with economy as well? Because I think in EU4, sure, I mean, you have money, but it's basically like cash rather than like economy. I don't really know how to describe it, but it feels like you're a lot more reliant on your civilian side of your society here than, it's in EU4 it's kind of like, it's all the same, but here it's kind of like split into like two halves of your country.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna start the time. I'm gonna put it at 3 first and then see what happens.
Sure thing.
I'm gonna...
I have no idea what to like research and stuff, but
oh god, I'm losing money rapidly. I need to increase taxes, taxes.
It's always the same. Always start out by like losing massive amounts of money.
I'm gonna pull down I need to increase my money somehow. Which is why my first tax is stock exchange, just to avoid that extra tax efficiency.
Yeah, I thought about that too, but I went with... It's quite nice to have like a slight advantage in...
well, you will want to try like romanticism, because you need that extra prestige and realism in order to actually get to great power status as soon as possible.
Okay, so remind me here a bit. Oh yeah, okay, so I was going to ask, how do I know what to set my national priorities as? But I guess I just should look at what I lack in my country in terms of workforce.
You should try to... The first thing is to get your clergymen up to... I think it's 3% or 4%? At least 2%. At the very least 2%.
What do the clergymen do?
The clergymen increase your research points. And as 2% is optimal level. And it also increases your literacy gain. So you'll want to... see, there we go. Increase opinion.
I will do clergymen, but I think I will also do craftsmen. I have almost no craftsmen.
So focus on clergymen first, because you need to increase your literacy as soon as possible, and you need to increase your research points. So clergymen is always prior number 1. And when you get it up to above 2%, you can...
Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm going I'm going bank, or going total debt here. I think I will just decrease my military spending completely.
Yeah.
I mean, geez.
I'm getting about 50 million alliance requests from different nations. And my army is... I don't like my army setup, like the starting armies.
Yeah.
I need to reorganize.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean, I have 30,000 standing men. That's not really... I kind of forget, like, what I usually do to decrease my military spending, because I remember now that it's always like this. I think I will disband, like, 1/3 of my army, and the Navy could probably do with some cutbacks too. See, you don't really have this in Europa Universalis the same way, because there it's pretty. You don't need to like. I mean, sure, you can have like over force limit armies and stuff like that, but it doesn't like affect your economy as like. I don't know. It's just different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Here you have to everything is also a very long-term effect. Like you need that standing army, and you need it as full. Like in a popular tactic in EU4 is to, when you're at peace, you reduce the army spending, like the maintenance to 0. So your armies doesn't have any morale, but you can get back fairly soon. Here it is kind of different. I have my if you decrease military spending, you lose soldier population, because you need that at a certain level in order to have your soldier population at a higher cap, because otherwise you won't have enough soldier population to get enough soldiers.
Man your armies. Yeah. Should we become allies, by the way?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Let's ally up.
I almost don't know what allies do I have. Let's see.
I invited you.
Oh, okay. I invited you too.
Or invited. Nice. I lied you.
Oh yeah.
So you can see here that I have quite a bit of armies, but they are woefully unorganized. Like I usually like to have armies of 30 or 39 is my usual tactic, and I can't remember, like 15,000 artillery, 6,000 I think of cavalry, and the rest infantry, something like that. Because you want to have a line of infantry that defends your cannons, and the cannons are the ones that do the real amount of damage. My factories are closing. That's sad. I don't have enough money to subsidize them.
At this point, I just cut down my army by basically just numbers, because I didn't have any artillery really. So I basically, what I went with was by, okay, which units have the coolest name, and then I disbanded once.
Oh yeah, so you kept the one referring to Svea Livgard or whatever.
Yeah, Kronprinsens Husarregement as well, which is it's just cool names. Oh, there's a war going on between Russia and the UK.
Well, let's just say that there's a war going on near my borders, because Belgium.
Yeah, I saw.
Let's see, what is Russian that war troops about? Show wars. I like that it is so much easier to see all the wars in the world. Dutch restoration of order to the Belgian provinces, and Netherlands pulled in the Russian Empire and Portugal, while Belgium has the United Kingdom on their side.
Okay.
And I could probably. I let Russia. I gave Russia military access, and now they're marching through my land to.
That's just going to go bad for Belgium and the UK, mainly because the UK never or hardly ever lands any damn troops in the continental part of Europe. They always just rely on their ships. And, speaking of which, in the Gulf of Riga right now, they are utterly destroying the Russian fleet. Or did they? Actually, there's a big. I don't know, but my point remains: Britain is mainly just lame with their navies. That's their main.
I was a bit too fast with my trying to get influence in Hanover. I have to wait until the coronation of Queen Victoria of United Kingdom. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless. So, send a Prussian expedition, of course, by all means. One thing I like a lot is the addition of rally points, and now with the templates you can do basically the same thing. It's actually a much better system in EU4 now, but for a long time this rally point system was a lifesaver. So I think I will have mine in Berlin. I'm gonna move my army out there and build my first army that it will be my. I don't know. I need to delete an army here. It costs a lot, armies to have. So
it's interesting, by the way. I just gave this some thought earlier, because Sweden, with you know, in this game, it's the same country as Norway or so, but you know, you don't really have the sort of old system of personal unions as you did